What's up, everybody? How are you all today? And welcome back to another episode of Phenomenal Views. I am your host, Nick Smith, and this is my review for Assassin's Creed Unity, the book. Now, I haven't played the game yet. I want to. But when I was reading this book, and I was so intrigued by this book, this has some great characters. I texted my friend Chip, and because he's played the game before, I was like, Chip, what's the game, in the game of Assassin's Creed Unity, who was the book, what's the name of the assassin? Is it Arno? And he said, yeah. Well, in the game, is it more about Arno, or is it more about Elise? And Chip said, well, the game is more about Arno. The book, it's all about Elise, and Arno too. Okay, so basically, Assassin's Creed Unity is the story of Elise and Arno, as they've known each other since they were little kids. And already you can tell that they're going to be a thing. But the thing is, it's not just... Their relationship isn't just boyfriend and girlfriend, lover and lover. That's not what it is. It's something that you see that's been there since childhood. That's very sweet. And it's just like, when you read about them being kids and how amazing that Elise is when she's a little girl, and how much that she looks toward her mom for guidance and advice, and you see like all the struggles that she goes through in this book. It is amazing. There is some tearjerker moments in this book. There really are. So, okay, like I said, Assassin's Creed Unity is the story about Elise and how she is born into the Templar family. And her mother and father are her father is the Grand Master, and when time comes, Elise will be the new Grand Master. So, you know, the book is all about Elise growing up, having to deal with the spoilers, by the way, about having to deal with the death of her mother. And the death of her mother hits her really hard. And the thing is, her mom and dad know that she loves Arno so much. Like, you can just, like, it's spelled out. But it's not spelled out for nitwits, like, you know, it's not like, oh, you know she loves him. It's so amazing on how because, like, they know, like, her mom and dad just always, whenever they talk about Arno, they know, oh, you know these two are going to end up getting together. You know they love each other. And their relationship and friendship is just so amazing, and it is a really good relationship. They are my favorite characters, but my favorite character in the book is Elise, because, well, she's the main character. But whereas in this one goes kind of the Assassin's Creed 3 route, whereas in the game it's more about Connor. It's about Connor and Haytham, but it's more about Connor. Whereas in the book, everything is told through Haytham's eyes. This is about Elise and Arno. A lot of the book is constructed from recent events, to Elise's journal, to Arno's journal, and all the trials that they have to go through, and how the people that they become when they grow up. And this has some this even goes back to Assassin's Creed 3 with Haytham. Haytham's sister is a major character in this book, because we find out that Haytham was actually trying to, later on, he was actually trying to get the Assassins and the Templars to coexist. And so when Elise starts to change after her father is killed, and it's the day of her graduation, it's the day of her becoming the Grand Master. And as soon as she becomes Grand Master, her father is killed, and she suspects Arno. And the whole entire thing that Elise's parents were trying to say to her, or basically trying to get her to do, was like, you know, you guys have all the time in the world, but one thing that we do need you to eventually try is to get Arno to join the Templars. And that was her mission throughout her whole entire life, was basically, because they knew that she loved him, and they knew he loved her, and they loved Arno, but they didn't want him because he already has assassin traits. His father is an assassin, and so, like, they knew he had assassin traits, and so they were like, well, you know, we need to turn him before it's too late. And so they knew that he trusted Elise. And so, like, Elise's father would spend a lot of time with Arno, and they would just, like, they would keep saying to Elise, like, you know, you need to try and get Arno to join the Templars so we don't lose him, because we know you love him, and we know that we don't want you to lose that. And you can see Elise and her parents are not the villains. You don't actually feel for once that in this book that the Templars are the villains. Like you really don't. Like, there are Templar villains, but the main characters of the Templars, you don't feel like they're villains. You really don't. You come to love these characters. And when they finally figure out who it was, Elise is, thanks to Arno, Elise is able to track down and discover who it was. Well, it might not have been Arno. I think it was somebody else. I can't remember. But she eventually discovers who it was who tried to kill her mom. Because her mom, there are these people that they call the Crows, that Elise calls the Crows in the book, and she talks about like how her mother was not like them. She associated with them, but she wasn't anything like them. She didn't act like them. She didn't. I even think like the women had other lovers besides their husbands. I think. I can't remember. But so like they keep trying to get Elisa's mother to change and to talk her, because they know her husband is the Grand Master. So, you know, they're like, we need you to try and get your husband to see this, and we think that maybe if you see it, he'll agree to it. And Elisa's mom doesn't do it. And so we see how much of an awesome fighter Elisa's mother is. Because, like, when you read about her, like, you know she's the wife of the Grand Master, but she's not a damsel in distress who needs to be saved. She kicks butt in this book. She saves her daughter. Like, when it looks like she's about to die, she pulls out another bad A moment. She grabs a knife from her boot and kills the guy who's going after him. Like, two people are going after them, and she kills both of them. And Elise looks up to her mom, and her mom is such a good character. And when her mom dies, that's when Elise starts to change. Because it hits her really hard. She mourns so bad, and it causes her to act out when she goes to school. She doesn't care. Just Elise is down spiraling. And then when her dad dies, that's when it gets even worse for her. And you see her become, or she almost becomes this complete. Like, this almost completes her. Like what I'm saying is, like, she starts to grow up, but her lust for revenge and blood almost overtakes her. And Arno, who does become an assassin, tries to keep her in check. Both her and her mentor, Mr. Weatherfield, try to keep her in check, and they do. But unfortunately, when they do come, because the people who want to take over the Templars, they do attack, and Elise gets her ribs broken, and she almost dies, but she luckily escapes, and she has to sneak off. And one of the things that she ends up having to do is she ends up having to leave school to go to London to go see Haytham's sister. And she comes into this place looking for someone who has a boat, and they try to do really bad things to. She gets kind of kidnapped or held up, and she's almost taken away. But because of her and this person that was drunk but sobered up enough to save her, she ends up recruiting this little girl named Helen, I think either Healy or Helen, or Helene or something like that. And she devotes her life to Elise, and she becomes a really good character as well. It's almost like Elise becomes a surrogate mother to the girl, even though she's like, I'm going to serve you for the rest of my life because of how you saved me. I owe you my life. And Elise keeps telling her, it's like, no, you don't. Your debt's been paid. You don't have to stay here. And the relationship between those two is really well, along with the relationship with Arno and Elise as they grow older. And no matter what, you know that Elise loved Arno with everything in her. And when I read today that she died, I was like, no, don't you dare! Because there was multiple times in the book I was reading, I was like, Arno's gonna die. Arno's gonna die. And he didn't. Because, like, the way, like, how they're setting it up, there's one part, like, when Arno goes after someone and Elise says, you come back to me. I was like, Arno's gonna die, is he? But no, he doesn't. One thing about Elise that unfortunately gets her killed is that she doesn't really have any patience to wait. And so, when she sees the person who took everything away from her, who took her father, who took her title, and the title doesn't even really mean anything to her. I mean, it's her birthright, but it's not something that, she hates that someone took it from her, but it's because of her family and how much she loves her family. So every time she gets a look at this person, she's filled with hate, she's filled with revenge, and she strikes out. And it does get her killed, unfortunately. Now, they do talk about this book, about a weapon that the main guy has, and they don't say it's a piece of Eden. I think it is, but I don't know, because they don't say it's a piece of Eden. And so Elise goes after him, and it unfortunately ends up getting her killed. And it was so sad when I read that. Gosh, such a good character. She was the main character. And so with that, Arno, and throughout this whole entire book, Arno has been having visions. And after this, he sees another vision, and the visions are really weird. Like they say, when in this book they do more talk about combining the Assassins and the Templars, and everyone's like, Elise, this is never going to happen. You are never going to get these two groups, these two factions to coexist with one another. There's too much violence, there's too much hatred, there's too much of a history. And Elise doesn't believe it. She wants to have peace between the two. She doesn't want there to be any more fighting. Her father tried doing that, Hatham tried doing that, and that's what Elise and Arno was basically trying to do, is to make the two coexist. Even to the fact that when people take over Elise's family mansion and take the title from her, Arno suggests, I can take you to the Grand Master of the Assassins, and we can coexist and maybe start things. And it happens, but unfortunately the Grand Master gets killed by poison that Elise would know a lot about, because she studied these things her entire life. And so with her death, there comes to Arno gets Elise's letters, and I think he gets Hatham's letters as well. And they talk about how much of a great swordsman Elise was, and they talk about how in her trunk, because she always had her trunk with her, it had her letters, it had her sword, and they give that all to Arno to take back to somewhere. And Elise actually ends up forming kind of a bond with the person that was hired to assassinate her mom, and her trust with him. There's two letters. There's one that talks about where it basically says, if you're reading this, I'm either dead, or my trust within him has succeeded, or my trust within him has failed, and I'm dead. And she asks her one final act. Gosh, this is tearing me up just thinking about it. Her final act, her final wish for Arno to do, is to go and try to get the Assassins and the Templars to become one, and to cease the violence and to stop. And with that, the book ends with the person coming. Basically, the person comes to get Elise's letters because of the person she killed, so they hired him to kill Mr. Weatherfall and her maidservant. And so they eventually do end up killing him, because Arno takes Elise's training sword and throws it in his freaking face. And so the book ends with Arno reading those letters, and he's just wondering, and you're left with the thought, if Arno is strong enough to do it. He wonders himself. He's like, am I strong enough to do this? Am I really strong enough to do this for her? And such a sad ending. I did not want neither of them to die. You grow so close to these characters. You get really invested in the story with her relationship with Arno, her relationship with her mother, her relationship with her father, her trainer, even Hatham's sister, and with her maidservant. You learn to love these characters. There's not one cliche in this book. This is honestly my favorite book that I have read this summer. So I'm going to give this book a 10 out of 10. It was never slow for me. There were times when I got bored, but that's just because I can't do the same thing for very long. But I love this book This is probably my favorite out of the Assassin's Creed books. This is my favorite. I probably have said, like, 3 is my favorite or something, but after reading this, I say you either play the game or do both. I'm going to play the game when I get a chance, but guys, read this book. I'm giving this book a 10 out of 10. I don't see any problem with it. It's good writing, it's good story. This has a couple of heart-gripping moments and a couple tense moments, and some great action scenes. Guys, this has been another episode of Phenomenal Views. Put in the comments below, what did you think about the book? I haven't played the game yet, so please don't spoil the game, because I know the game is basically more about Arno than the book is. But put in the comments below, what did you think about Assassin's Creed Unity, the book? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What rating do you give it? I really want to know your all's thoughts. You know, I'm glad that you all love my book reviews, my movie reviews. Put in the comments below, what will be the next book you want me to review? The next book I might be reading is Transformers Retribution, but one of my friends wants me to keep reading the Lord of the Rings books, which I have no idea when I'll get back into those. It might take a while. But, guys, that's it. And I thank you for all watching this channel. I thank you for the likes. I thank you for the subscriptions. Without you, my YouTube channel wouldn't exist. Thank you guys so much, and I cannot wait for you to be pleased with more. Guys, have a good day.